think about, but it's good that you guys have a council of elders. I thought that's good. That's an offshoot. I got to say.
Yeah.
So I was like, elders in the theological sense.
I know.
Elders
That's kind
like,
of where
elders
my head
like a
slipped into that
council
for
in
some
like the
reason.
Renaissance era, right? Like, so I'm like, that's such a Lord of the Rings thing to say, man. It's like, yes,
I worked with nonprofits and churches in the past,
Right.
and so the leadership mostly in a church is elders. So I was like,
right.
I slipped across
No,
two
I think
worlds
that's
there.
amazing. I think we should go back to calling councils
It
elders.
sounds
Like, the council,
epic for sure.
Go to the council of elders and ask them for permission to do
I was about
this.
to pull out my Lord of the Rings pipe.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, the elders.
Yeah.
The ring. All right, welcome to the What's the Point podcast. What episode number is this, Raul? Is this like 7?
Ooh.
6, 7?
6.
Yeah.
6
Somewhere
or
around
7.
there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
6.
Yeah,
It's 6.
6. Yeah. So welcome back, Nate Smith, my esteemed co-host and producer, Raul Espinosa.
Yes.
Amazing. Man, we're really excited today. Doing things a little bit different, flipping it from what it normally is. And we have Luke Gajary, marketing manager at McKinney EDC and longtime digital storyteller, to explore the art of marketing a city like it's a brand.
Yeah.
Talked a lot about this a little before you came in. From crafting compelling narratives to supporting business growth and attracting talent, Luke is going to share how his digital marketing background helped him thrive in a world of economic development. We're going to dive a little bit into what it takes to make a city stand out, how MEDC is positioning McKinney as a future-forward hub, and what brands and communities can learn from each other when it comes to storytelling. Whether you're a marketing professional, a city leader, or a business owner, this episode is going to give you a little inside look at how strategy, creativity, and community impact all come together. Luke, what's up, man?
Thanks, man.
Thanks
This
for
is
having.
great.
Thanks for coming
What an
in,
intro.
man.
That's killer.
Ah,
Almost like you guys write content for a
That's
living.
that guy right there.
It's almost like you guys know what you're doing,
Yeah,
man.
he's
This
amazing,
is wild.
man. Yeah, this is awesome, man. I'm so
we
glad to have
actually
you,
actually
dude.
don't know what we're doing. We're
None of
just-
us do,
yeah.
right?
No,
Some of us are just
we're-
better at looking
We
like
just gotta
we know what we're
pretend
doing.
like we do.
Yeah,
We're just winging it. It's fake it till you make it all
That's
day.
right. That's right.
So what's going on, man?
Oh, no. This is great. You guys got
Yeah.
a great space here, and I'm excited to be. I'm usually on the other side of the mic. We produce content, web content like this too, and so it's cool to be sitting on this side of the table with you instead of behind a camera.
No, I
So
know,
thanks
man.
for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. We're super excited to have you. Also, I just need to say real quick, I'm just going to get out of the way. This shirt is amazing. I don't live in McKinney, but I want one
You
of
want
these
this
shirts.
shirt?
I
Yeah.
want that shirt.
Always rebranding, man.
incredible.
That's
Yeah.
how we do it. Yeah.
ABB.
I need one of those shirts.
Yeah.
I'm in McKinney like every weekend. Every time I go out to eat, I'm
Yeah,
in McKinney.
that's it. That's the
McKinney's,
spot.
McKinney's
That's where
awesome, man.
Good food's
They got
at.
a
Good
really
vibes.
They got a really good disc golf park over there
Oh,
in
yeah.
McKinney, man, that I really want. That I wanted. My wife and I have been wanting to check out. So we may come down that way. And then Billy, our IT director, is constantly talking about this really good steakhouse that they have downtown that's supposed to be fantastic.
Maybe
So
Rick's or
I think it's Rick's.
Yeah, it's classic.
He's always talking about how great that place is.
Yeah.
He takes his wife there for all their big anniversaries and
That's it.
stuff like that.
Anniversaries.
So,
Yeah.
all right, man. Let's get into it, Luke. I mean, we'll dive right in, man. Get past all the pleasantries. Tell us a little bit about yourself, dude. Just
so
kind of like how you got started, how you landed at McKinney EDC, because you're like a true blue marketing guy, through and through. But talk to us about how you got into this, man, and how you fell into McKinney EDC.
Yeah, fell into is a good word, because I was actually talking to one of the interns here about the economic development and marketing, and I have a long background of content creation, digital marketing, and served different industries, worked in the nutrition industry, worked for nonprofits, and have really done this for a while, but never once considered economic development. Didn't even really know what that was. Didn't understand how local government worked, or that there was even kind of a digital marketing initiative happening kind of in economic development. And the McKinney EDC, about 3 years ago, they positioned themselves to hire an internal marketing person. Previously, they'd outsourced everything. So they hired an agency and did everything, and they found out they weren't moving quick enough on certain things. They really wanted an internal person to kind of spearhead marketing efforts. Still earmarking some budget to outsource certain things when needed, but they said, we need somebody to kind of manage all of our digital marketing efforts. Now, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know this at all, but the economic development has been done, marketing and EDC has been done the same way for a long time. Take out a print ad in a magazine, get billboards, do maybe some social media advertising, maybe an email list, but it hasn't really been an innovative thing. So I showed up, I knew somebody in the EDO who thought, hey, I know your background. I think you'd be a good fit for this internal marketing role. And I said, that's great, but I don't understand economic development marketing at all. I don't even understand what is economic development. How are they funded? So I did some research. I reached out. We lived in Abilene at the time, about 3 hours away. And so I reached out to the economic development team in Abilene and just said, hey, what is this? Like, can you tell me a little bit? So talked to some people there, got kind of a framework for what it looks like and how EDOs in Texas are funded, different way it works, the type A, type B. We don't have time to get into all that, but got kind of my head around what it looked like and then decided to apply. And I show up to the interview, and my car was in the shop. We lived 3 hours away, so I rented a car to come to the interview. And this is a kind of a funny story that shows kind of how I felt. We all struggle with this kind of imposter syndrome anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm pull up to the interview. I'm in a suit, and I pull up, park. I'm about 15 minutes early, kind of like interviewing is a stressful process, even if you feel good about it. So I have a iPad with my kind of digital portfolio on it, and then I have my printed resume. Take a deep breath. I get out of the car, and as I step out of the car that I wasn't used to, is a smaller car than I normally drive, my pants rip as I'm stepping out of the car, like from my waist down to my mid-thigh, like a 10-inch gash, dude. And I'm like, I got to be in there in like 12 minutes.
This sounds like a bad dream, actually.
Dude, it's just like, it was terrible.
It's not quite the no pants in the front of the classroom,
right.
But it's pretty close.
Yeah, so I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh, God. Yeah. So I think I can manage this. So I stand there outside of my car and I grab my iPad and kind of like hold it against my pants. And I'm like, I got to make a choice. Either I'm late and I go get new pants, or I'm early like I planned and I just make this work. So I walk into the office. I'm greeted by the receptionist. She takes me to the conference room where the interview is going to be happening. And the only person I saw at this point was the receptionist. And if she saw something, she didn't say anything because I was able to hold my iPad against my leg and kind of keep it all together. So I sit down in a corner of the room where I'm like, this leg is against the wall. And I'm like, okay. So I think I got it under control. The rest of the interview went amazing, dude. Mm-hmm. I felt so good. And I was initially super stressed. The gash in my pants was indicative of something that was going on inside of, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I feel like it's going to be exposed at any minute that I have no idea what economic development marketing is. Mm. I feel exposed in multiple ways, in that situation. Right. But as we got into the interview, not only was I able to mitigate the physical gash, I was able to mitigate some of that emotional exposure to say, one of the guys interviewing me said, no, right out the gate, listen, economic development marketing has been done the same way for 40 years. And he kind of went into this. He said, we're looking for somebody who is open to doing things differently and who actually doesn't have an experience in economic development. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, that's great. So something I had initially thought was a liability or a weakness was actually viewed as a strength in that moment to say like, no, this very thing you think is fighting against you is actually a reason you're here. So then fast forward 3 years and I've been able to bring a lot of creative kind of unconventional ideas and initiatives to the EDC. And we still dabble in traditional marketing channels, billboards, print ads, magazine partnerships, things like that. But a big thing we're trying to do is look at what is being done differently. How do we market a community, like you mentioned in the intro, as a brand? Yeah. I know how to market nutrition products. I know how to market various things really well. This is different. This is a sense of place. This is a community. This is a feeling. We're marketing McKinney, Texas. Yeah. Right? So the innovation and the lack of understanding of economic development actually proved to be kind of a good thing, a resource.
Yeah. It's kind of like you hear this all the time. Like, so just anecdote. First off, that's amazing. That story is amazing. I'm wondering, though, did you make that correlation, the analogy of your pants being ripped in that moment? Or did you think about that after the fact?
That's after, I've only told, you're the second person I've ever told this story to. So my wife, one other person, and then you. Special. And Raul now. Yeah. So there's only five people other than everybody who's watching this podcast who know that story. But after the fact, it was like, oh yeah, that I wish I'd have had the foresight to see that in the moment. Yeah. But it took some, shower thought.
I think that is indicative to, at least when I know about you, we haven't had a ton of chances to catch up, but we've had enough chances to talk. And the vibe that I get off you is you're a pretty optimistic guy. I think you have to be in this business and have any level of success in it. I mean, you could be the head down, grunge music in your headphones all day type and probably do some cool stuff. But if you're going to be around people and be interacting with people a lot, that optimism really comes through, man. Yeah. So I think that's totally indicative for who you are as a person. Yeah. And I really appreciate that about you, man.
Yeah, no,
to be able to make that correlation, even after the fact. Because I kind of have those moments too where I'm like, oh, Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. So, which I completely washed myself of the thought that I had before I started asking that. So I'm just gonna.
Well, one thing I was gonna kind of bring up too
think
is
about that.
we were talking about marketing for EDCs and how you didn't know much about it, and I was kind of in the same boat when I first joined here at Point, and they're like, "Hey, you're gonna work on the MEDC." Social, and I was like, "Oh, great! Like, what is that?"
Yeah,
it's kind of like the city, but it's not. It's kind of like it's very difficult. And one of the best pieces of advice that I got was, don't look to other EDCs as like inspiration.
Bingo,
because not a lot of EDCs are doing anything relevant. And of course, me being curious, I went and I checked, and I was like, "Yeah, no." We got to do something different.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
yeah.
That was going to be the thing that I said. It's kind of like, thank you, sir. See, this is why.
Hey, that's why he's here. That's
the
why I'm
perfect
here.
wingman. But I was going to say, like, it's kind of like a musician that is not classically trained, right? But they play by ear.
Right.
They're able to kind of do things outside the box where maybe a classically trained musician would go, "Oh my God, I would never do that," because they're thinking inside that space.
Yeah.
When the lack of the know-how or the knowledge of that specific facet of their gifting or whatever allows them to think differently from what maybe is done traditionally.
Exactly.
Which is awesome. And I think that's a real benefit.
Yeah. That's a good
kudos to them, man. And also I think that's something else that's really interesting to think about is that, making sure that even if you have a really good agency partner, it's really great to have somebody, and I've seen this a lot throughout my career. Raul, you probably the same thing, and Luke, you the same as well. It's always good to have somebody who's seen that side of things to facilitate internally, to be able to speak the language, talk to the agency about the vision or what it is that needs to be done, and then you can collaborate on whatever the solutions or deliverables are at that point in time. And it makes it more fun that way anyway, when you have somebody that kind of knows that side of things and can think about it that way instead of being solely inside of that sort of traditional bubble and not understand how should I convey this to my partner? What is it that I need them to know about what we're doing so they can come up with the best possible solution? When you have somebody on the inside that knows that stuff and knows how to do it and knows what it takes to do it, man, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. And you get this hybrid, right? You have this person in-house who knows the heartbeat of the organization, and then you have this agency partner that serves as they're just pure creative energy.
Yeah.
And so you really have both. Because if you're in-house, you can't necessarily do everything that needs to be done.
Sure.
Unless you have a massive team, massive budget.
Of course.
So you bring in these outside partners to work with you, and you establish a rhythm of, hey, we got this driver in the cockpit who's pilot, I guess, in the cockpit, who's kind of spearheading the efforts, and then you have this whole fleet of co-pilots who are standing by ready to jump in and create content or provide strategic advice, anything like that. So it's been a good cadence for us in working with Point Group and even in other situations where you realize, man, if I want to go fast, I can go alone, but if I want to go far, I need to go with other people. And that's where agency partnerships like this really come in.
It's one of my favorite things. That's not a shameless plug, by the way. I actually just asked Luke that question just because I know for a fact that from talking to him that before you guys start hiring people, you were wearing like 5-6 hats, man.
Right.
You were doing it all internally.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
It's tough because I remember before Raul came, I was kind of the one, I was wearing a lot of hats inside the company, and it's a lot, man. It becomes a lot to do. But man, when you have a great, I was going
to say, I wonder if it's just like that nowadays, where you just have to wear multiple hats.
That's kind of how it is.
Yeah, it's kind of unicorn central. Yeah, it is. But at the end of the day, like I think about that, and I'm like, well, because we were talking about this yesterday, Raul. I've never been the type of guy that, I'm sure this way too, Luke. I'm like, hey man, does the floor need to be swept? Show me where the broom is, right? And then I think that comes from being an athlete most of my life, is that I always try to lead by example. So if there's something that needs to be done, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Not making this about me. I think thinking about it in general, I think it's important to know that also if you take yourself out of the running to do certain things, you take yourself out of the opportunity to learn something.
Yeah, it's good.
Because you're always going to come upon a situation where maybe you don't know something as well as you need to. But like Raul and I have conversations all the time, and I'd pick up gems from him just in our passing conversations that I'm like, oh man, yeah, that makes sense. I need to try that, right? So it's great to. And I'm a people person, so I love to talk to people and learn. So because I feel like if you don't, you miss out on a great human experience.
That's right. Yeah.
And when we start to talk about the way that you market an EDC, it really a big part of it is the city, though, man. It's not just about what what the city can offer you if you have a startup and you're coming into a situation. You have to think about like, well, I'm married and have kids too, so is this going to be the right environment for them?
Yeah.
And are they going to be a good partner for me in terms of like not only where I reside, but how they can help me with how we can partner together to help the business grow so that it can do better for the community.
Yeah.
So those are really interesting things, man. So, well, we kind of covered the first question we had, so we can kind of dive right into the next set of questions. I think so. We talked a little bit about your background, how you got into economic dev and the marketing of that. How else did your background in digital marketing kind of influence the economic development side? Like once you got into the role, how much of that did you bring? Did you just kind of, obviously you have to kind of get the lay of the land. So you kind of learn everything internally and you kind of survey and kind of get an idea about how things are going so that you can start to make some decisions about, okay, is this something I want to glean from and hang on to? Or am I going to brush this aside and maybe try to do something different?
Yeah, there was a lot of that, man. That was the whole first 6 months. And I'm fortunate to have a very supportive team, and they provide a lot of education. I went to conferences. I took online courses about economic development marketing, did a full kind of audit of where things were at. And there was a lot of things that had been done well, and there was some other things that could use improvement, right? And so just taking the time to go, I'm not going to change everything overnight, but I'm going to kind of sit and trim the fat and realize, hey, we have some stuff that's maybe not working, and then let's introduce some ideas. And again, back to our leadership, under the direction of city council, they appoint our board, who then elects our president. And so we operate under the umbrella of the city, and every EDO does things a little differently. Some are departments within a city, and some are set up as separate organizations. So ours is a separate organization. This was a law that was passed in the late 80s in Texas that cities could elect to have these economic development organizations. And so our city council and our board work together to kind of set the vision, and then we as staff kind of execute of here's what McKinney is trying to do. Here's how we're trying to grow. So we kind of had these guardrails, right? Of like, okay, we want to attract, certain industries. We want to attract certain companies. The main goal here is increase the jobs in McKinney so that everybody who lives in McKinney can work in McKinney if they so choose, right? To where we have high wage, high paying jobs in McKinney, and that there's a diversity of industry there. So that's kind of the number one overarching thing. And then again, city council gives us directives of like, here's some of the projects we're trying to attract. McKinney, we need more office in the ground. We need good, high quality office like the building we're in here. We need more of these in McKinney. And then companies will come, right? Yeah. So that's something that we're working on, working deals that will bring those Class A office spaces and attract higher quality type companies. And you kind of hit it too, understanding the audience is not just these corporate executives who wear suits all day. Like they go home to families. They have kids. They're curious about, if I relocate my company from the Midwest to Texas, where are they going to go to school? What are we going to do on the weekend? Is there a lake for my boat? Like that kind of stuff, right? And so you got to hit, these high decision-making, like high-quality leads in the business world, but then you also have to think about their family and their wives and their kids. And there's a story of a company who was touring McKinney a couple of years ago as a retreat. So they took their they took their board of directors on a staff retreat to McKinney. And they said, we're going to have this kind of leadership retreat in downtown McKinney. And while they were there, the leadership loved McKinney so much. Then the wives were there, and they loved McKinney so much that they went home and they go, how can we move? I think they were in Kentucky or Tennessee. How can we move our company from where we're at to McKinney? Like they fell so much in love with McKinney that they not only wanted it to be a place that they visit regularly, we want to move there, we want to live there. And now they're a company that's headquartered in McKinney. They manufacture the cone of shame. The company is called KVP. So the dog cone of shame thing.
After they get surgery.
I know there's a better word for it, and they're probably butchering it right now.
I think that's what everybody knows it as. Head
I knew exactly.
Yeah.
I knew exactly.
Lampshade. We just call it the dog lampshade.
Yeah. So I mean, it starts with a visit, and that's a mantra that our tourism board, our tourism team uses a lot. And so we trying to wrap our head around how do we market. Yes, there's multiple audiences here, but how do we just communicate the right story to the right people? You know,
man, I can't wait to grow up one day and wonder if a place has a lake for my boat.
Yeah, right.
I know, right?
That's amazing, man. That's absolutely incredible. I think that when you get into it, you start to think about again, and especially it's not always just people wearing suits, because a lot of these, especially like when you start talking about tech startups, if you're trying to get into that more innovative space, where you're trying to garner more attention from tech magnates or tech companies, it's not that. It's like, are there cool? It's not everybody has a family either. They could be maybe like young professionals. Maybe they're married. Maybe they don't have kids yet. They're like, where am I going to go running with my wife or my girlfriend on the weekends? Are there cool bars around? Are there
walkable
cool
places to live?
Walkable places. Are there a lot of parks around? Is there nature? Those are all really interesting things. But it's also a lot to think about. But it's good. It's good that you guys have a council of elders. I thought about that saying good. That's an offshoot I got to say.
Yeah.
So I was like, elders in the theological sense.
I know,
that's kind of where elders like a council in like the Renaissance era, right? Like, so I'm like, that's such a Lord of the Rings thing to say, man. It's like, yes,
I worked with nonprofits and churches in the past, and so the leadership mostly in a church is elders. So I was like, I just crossed two worlds.
I think that's amazing. I think we should go back to calling councils elders.
It sounds like epic for sure.
Go to the council of elders and ask them for permission to do.
I was about to pull out my Lord of the Rings.
I know. I was like, oh, the elders. The ring. Yes. Anyway, man, that's amazing. So, so knowing those things, so as you got into it, what were some of the early strategies you used to identify, like when you started? Because again, you've got these guardrails down that the council give you. Here are the things we want to achieve. And then you start to go to work. You start to get solution oriented, right? So how did you identify the target markets when you started, when they told you what they were trying to achieve, and how did data play a role in shaping that approach?
That's a good question. So, kind of what you mentioned on the tech thing, that's a big industry we were going after. It still are. We have a program called the Innovation Fund that gives money to startups that want to relocate to McKinney. The idea being, and Google started in a garage, Facebook started in a dorm room, Amazon starts in a garage. Why can't those next garages and dorm rooms be in McKinney, right? So we throw money at early stage startups and try to attract them. So that's one of our audiences. So how do we get them here? We're going after certain types of like advanced manufacturing. So we want people that have, certain products that require some high-end, high-paying manufacturing jobs. We want them to build their warehouses here. So we kind of identified like 6 or 7 different avatars or audiences that we were going after. And one of the things that helped in that, and I kind of stumbled into this, I think it was 2022, U-Haul started releasing a list of the top states that one-way rentals were being rented from and where they were landing. So like you're moving, so you rent a truck for a one-way trip from this state to this state. And the top 10 states were the Texas was on the top 10 of one-way rentals. Like it was the top state that everybody's moving to. And I reverse engineered it. Okay, everybody's moving to Texas, but where are they coming from, right? And how can I think about when people are kind of throwing their dart at the map of Texas, how can I make that dart land in McKinney? So we thought, all right, let's add in a layer of digital strategy here. And I took the top 10 cities of places that were moving from to Texas. And so the top 3 were in California, like LA, San Francisco, and then some other suburb area. And then like Seattle was on that list. Chicago was on that list. I think a couple of cities in New York State were on that list. And then there was some more in the Midwest. So we ran several strategic digital ad campaigns towards each of those industries targeting different things. So for companies and decision makers in Chicago, we touted kind of the safety of McKinney. It was ranked number 2 safest city to live in America. So we're targeting in some higher crime areas. Look at how safe, look how safe McKinney is, right? Then on the West Coast, we targeted tech companies. We said, okay, we're trying to attract high-end like startups, even early stage startups. They're all leaving California anyway. I mean, not all, I'm generalizing, but they're leaving and coming to Texas. So let's make sure they don't go to Austin. Let's try to get them up here, right? So that's kind of something that has worked really well. That little kind of undercover strategy that I just stumbled into. It's a lot of fun.
It's a good way to get it. I also, just to note, like Austin is so overrated.
Oh yeah.
I lived in Austin for 3 years, and if you're not in Austin proper is really cool. Anything outside of that though is just it's just like anywhere else. Like there's nothing special about it. It's cool. I like it. It's not no shade towards it. It's just everybody moves to Austin. A lot of tech people move to Austin. And it's such a small area.
A lot of that
kind of lives.
South by, and the thing is driving up housing costs and everything. It's become kind of
and that's kind of what I mean. Like if you're not in Austin proper, like you have to pay those prices. and there's nothing there.
Yeah, you're either going to be in Round Rock or Marble Falls or somewhere like that. Somewhere.
We talk to startups all the time that are kind of burned out on Austin. Like we're looking for somewhere else in Texas to go.
Yeah.
Because they say, well, it's gotten just as. I left from California. Austin's just as expensive.
It's just expensive.
I mean, in some ways, right? So it's like, it's a tough.
Yeah.
So we're trying to position McKinney to kind of be that option for startups. Again, among other things that we're doing. That's not the main thing we're targeting, but is a major focus.
Yeah, I love McKinney, man.
Yeah. No, like downtown McKinney is amazing.
Yeah.
And, like Round Rock as an example, they have a really cool square as well.
Yeah.
But it's just not, it's not happening. Like there's not that many cool places there. Like it has a lot of potential, but I think like McKinney is just a great example of what it could be. I love downtown McKinney.
And there's a lot of fighting amongst like Austinites that have been there for years. That the whole Keep Austin Weird thing. They don't want these big companies to move in because they feel like it's making it too corporate. It's not the artistic mecca that it once was. Now it's kind of being not really overrun, but you've had more of these tech companies moving. I mean, places like Facebook and Tesla and all
that. Well, to be fair too, though,
and
that's the thing is like this is how it's a little overrated. If you look at where Tesla's actually at, it's so far
way out
Austin.
there.
I know.
I mean, they're just riding off those coatails.
But
it's like, oh, we're in Austin.
But it's a hot button to say.
It's technically
we're
probably
Austin.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, that's amazing. Also, I was going to say earlier, pilot can be a flyer and a driver because you land the plane, right?
That's true, man. I was mixing metaphors a little bit.
Yeah, that was good. No, you're spot on, man. I just want to tell you, like,
appreciate
you're
that,
good,
man. Yeah.
So, talk to us a little bit about. Make an example of how you use, because you guys do a podcast over there too.
Yeah.
How have you used the podcast to respond to like a real time crisis or trending event in a way that also highlighted local business or leadership?
Yeah, and that's been the whole crux of it. And that's one of the things when I showed up was this is a gap that we have is that our residents in McKinney don't know that an EDC exists or what they do, how they're funded, how are they driven? Are they just a separate organization that can do whatever they want? Is there legal guardrails in place to what they can do with the money? Who tells them how to spend the money? So there's all these questions swirling, and we decided that when we relocated office space mid-2022, so towards the end of 2022, and ahead of time we decided we're going to earmark an office to become a podcast studio. Because I think that's what you guys are doing here. This is the number one way to engage with customers, potential future customers, like clients, current clients. It's just video, long form and short form storytelling like this is the way to connect with people. And EDOs, there was 3 that I found of economic development organizations that had done podcasts out of hundreds. Everybody should have a podcast talking about their story, engaging with stakeholders, engaging with community members. So shortly in my first year there, we built a podcast studio a lot like this and bought some lights and it's been part of what I've done before for nonprofits is I've built studios, especially during COVID when everybody and their dog wanted to be online. So we built a small web studio and we brought on the mayor and we brought on founders of tech companies and we brought on some guys who were doing some advanced manufacturing type businesses. One of our most popular episodes for a while was a guy who they manufacture a nutraceutical grade like gummies, like almost pharmaceutical grade gummies, not like funny gummies, but like not the LA kind of gummies roll, but like melatonin gummies and really healthy, high quality stuff. Sure. And he just told his story, and he's got this cool story. His name's Drew. He's got this story of how Willy Wonka has inspired him, and so he made some themes in his factory about Willy Wonka, make it like a chocolate factory. Very cool story. So just like fun, like this, like conversational fun. So we started doing this. We got about 20 episodes in. It was going really well, and then now we've had to kind of pivot and migrate offices. So we're kind of undergoing we've been on hiatus for a few months, and we're going to kind of relaunch that in a few weeks. But where we were was I had this resource, and I thought, man, this needs to be something to where we can – it's happening in-house. I don't have to film this and outsource it to edit. We're doing it all in-house. So something interesting happened where you probably remember this, the CrowdStrike incident where blue screen of death. I do. Banks were down. Airlines had to shut down. The whole Metroplex was on fire. The whole country was terrified. So this happened at I think 6:30 in the morning. And then I had this idea. What if we reach out to we have some cybersecurity and tech startups in McKinney. So I said, what if we get these guys to come on here and talk about this? Because I don't understand what's happening. Yeah. And then we could, number one, leverage our local expertise to talk to the issue. And number two, selfishly, I can kind of build up my podcast platform, like create some relevant kind of crisis content that people will click on. So 10 a.m., I shoot everybody an email and follow it up with a text just in case their emails weren't working. These 3 CEOs, and I say, hey guys, what do you think about this? And some of them are competitors. Like they're kind of competing with each other in the spaces that they're in with managed IT providers or cybersecurity companies. They say, yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about it. So we put them at a table like this, 3 of them on there, and I put a camera on. We filmed it, recorded it, a conversation. Hey, what happened? What was this issue? Turns out it was somebody had uploaded some code that it wasn't even like a malicious attack. It was like an intern uploaded something at 2 a.m. and it never tested it. So it broke everything, right? So they explain this, like your banks are okay. Like we're not under attack from Russia or China. Like it's all good. They kind of brought some peace of mind, but then also explained like checks and balances in your upload processes and kind of gave some insight into the technology side. It became our most downloaded, most watched episode of all time.
Wow.
And we cut some shorts from that, and those got thousands of views. And we don't have a huge YouTube following or podcast platform. It's just like a couple hundred subscribers, a couple hundred downloads of each episode, and that one just went to the moon because we were responding to something happening in real time, providing value to people, and then also propping up our McKinney-based companies as the experts on this issue when everybody's wondering what is happening.
Because they were looking for answers, man.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, it's so funny. It begs the question too, like, because you guys were uploading did you upload the full episode to YouTube? So I've found that the genesis of a lot of my searches these days is YouTube. It's not Google anymore, and it's not Amazon anymore, unless I'm looking for a product. But even then, I may still try to go see what somebody has to say about it, especially if it's somebody who's not being paid to give a biased review. You know, that's the thing you got to kind of watch out for. But now they have the paid promotion tag up in the corner of the video, so you know. But that's amazing, man, that you guys were able to flip that fast, that you had the idea and the wherewithal to do that, to say, hey, let's use this platform. We've kind of experienced the same thing, having done the podcast. Like for us, it was we were only paying a lot of attention to our YouTube channel, and then when Raul came over, we were like, man, we should really do this. And it's something Jay Frederick, our ECD, had been talking about for some time. It was just having the hands and the time to do it, and the know-how. Like Raul brought a lot of expertise into the fold that helped us get there. But man, we don't have a huge following on YouTube.
No, we don't.
We've been getting
this is a great
really
example. Like
response.
both of these are good examples of just how things are turned to like interest and not so much social media anymore. It's more of just interest. So
that's good.
You could do something that's relevant and not have a big following. And YouTube, they'll push it to people who are just interested in these topics. So it's like a really good marketing strategy as well. You know, like, you know, because we always get that, like, you know, a lot of people complain like, oh, everybody has a podcast and things like that, and it's just like, you know, like you can be a nobody and have a podcast and get viewers,
100%,
you know, and get a lot of lift from it, because it is like, social media is slowly going away from followers and likes, and it's being pushed into, and also away from big brands, and it's being pushed into things that people are interested in. And it doesn't matter who you are, value-based content. It doesn't matter who you are, they'll push it, and people will see it. You know.
Yeah, I think we're moving away from building audiences into building connection. Yeah, like I don't want to build it. I don't want to build an audience. I want to build connection. I want, whether I'm marketing a nutrition product or marketing an agency or marketing a community, I do not care how many followers we have on Instagram. I care about the people that are connecting with the content.
Yeah, you want people that are going to engage with the content and find value in it, because those are the people that are going to continue to come back. I mean, think about your own journey and the things that you watch. I watch a lot of videography and camera and tech videos, right? And I have a slew of people that I really like. I love their content, and I continue to go back again and again and again. Anytime they post something new, I'm watching it as soon as it hits, right? It's but it begs a question, or it brings up a good point, Raul. We talked about this a while back. It's like, would you rather have 20,000 followers who don't engage with your content, or would you rather have 300 solid people that engage with your content? I mean, think about it. 300 people, you can't hold that in this room, right? That's a lot of people you're that are engaging with your stuff on a regular basis. So,
and people get so disappointed with those numbers, and it's
I was talking to my wife.
300 people is a ton of people.
Talking to my wife about this morning. I'm like, you know, because she's been kind of wanting to do. She's a poet and author, or a poet and an author, and she's self-published and a painter and all this other great stuff.
That's
she's
awesome.
And shout out, honey, love you.
Brownie points.
Yeah. But she was contemplating on whether or not she should put up more social video content. And I said, you know, at the end of the day, the reason that people like to do, we were just talking about this, Raul, people like to do unpolished content that isn't perfect, is because people crave connection. We're community-based creatures. People want to see other real people doing real things, right? And that's how you create connection with people, is just being authentic.
Yeah.
Authenticity is always the way through, man. That's just a life principle, whether you're creating a relationship in church, at your job, with somebody you meet on the street, the person you see behind the counter every day when you go to 7-Eleven and get your coffee or wherever it is you go, Starbucks or wherever, QT. You want to have connection with people. And people want connection more so than ever, because it's so funny, because the more we always laugh about the fact that the more socially connected and digitally connected we are, the further apart we are.
Correct. Yeah.
So having that connection with people almost means more now than it ever has. And when you allow your imperfection to kind of shine through, it allows people to see you for who you really are. And you're not putting on a mask or a face to try to appear one way. I think people just want what's real.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're creating a true connection with someone.
Yeah. That's huge.
I would imagine for an EDC, transparency
huge.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, because you're still it's people dealing with people, man.
Yeah.
You're still dealing with human emotion and human beings.
You can script something for 30 seconds, a minute, and it could be fake. But doing a long form like a podcast, you know what I mean? Like, your true colors are going to come out at some point. It's like,
well, that's
just having a conversation.
Man. That's one thing that our team does a great job of. And our president, Michael Kowski, he's phenomenal at just getting in front of people. So he speaks at Rotary clubs. He speaks at Lions Club, all these like small real estate gatherings and all these small events where you can just make connections with people, because we can have the most dynamite digital strategy on the planet. It's still, at the end of the day, it's about who you know. It's about people. It's about how connected you feel, especially with what we do in a community. It's not this magical place on a map that has some special fairy dust on it. It's about the people in that community. And so we're big on in-person presentations and roundtables and Q&As, and our team does an amazing job with that kind of stuff too. So I kind of get to be the wizard behind the computer making the digital stuff happen, and then we have an amazing team of project managers, our SVP, our president. They're out there just selling McKinney.
Oh yeah, it takes a whole village to do that. You know what I mean? Because it's from the start, when people see McKinney to the end of it. You know what I mean? To like the social media part of it. So I mean, it's like the entire thing. Like you can promote promote the hell out of something, but if something just sucks or people aren't really doing it, you know what I mean? It's just not happening. Then it doesn't matter how much you market. It's just not gonna. Yeah.
Well, I say that all the time too, because people will say like, "Oh, you're doing a great job marketing McKinney." I'll get like feedback about what we're doing and stuff. I'm like, "Oh, thank you," but honestly, the beginning of good marketing is good product, and McKinney is a good product.
There you go. You said it way better than I did. That's what I was trying to say. Right
no, but I say it because people are like, "Oh, you're killing it." I'm like,
that marketing side.
I'm proud of my job and I love what I do, but I could quit tomorrow and McKinney would still move forward. Because it's a good. At the end of the day, it's a good product. People want to be there. People love it.
Well, don't act like it wouldn't be a huge loss. If you left, I'm sure they would be like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?"
Yeah, no, but it's fun to have. But on the other side too, where you're spinning your wheels trying to market something that's just not clicking.
Yeah,
and so it's a blessing to be in a position where you're selling a product, again, a community, a sense of place that people gladly will accept,
and that you can believe in.
Right.
I think that if there's somebody I follow on this is actually a real pretty good segue. There's a YouTuber that I really like. His name's YC Imaging. He's a longtime music video director guy. Now he left his 9 to 5 to become a content creator full time, and he does a lot of gear reviews and a lot of filmmaking type stuff. Tells you how to light scenes, tells you how to shoot yourself and make it cinematic and things like that. And he's fantastic. His content's fantastic, but he will not push. Even though he's doing this, and even if somebody approached him and said, "Hey, really like you to push this product," if he doesn't believe in it, he won't do it.
Right.
And he's very adamant about that. So it's like, this is a guy who needs those deals to put food on the table.
Sure.
And his integrity matters. So when hear you come on and say that doesn't sound like a sell. That sounds like you really believe in McKinney and what McKinney is doing.
Exactly.
Makes a huge difference to have that level of authenticity, and for somebody to go, "It sounds like a really awesome place." Yeah, I talked to Luke G, and he was telling me everything about it, and it sounds like a place I'd want to bring my business and my family.
Yeah.
That's an awesome thing, man. So let's jump a little bit into dealing with, I guess, Raul, was there anything else you wanted to say about that last bit, or were you?
Oh no, I was just gonna make a shirt about like the shirt. Make a joke about the shirt. I like they even have cool shirts.
I love that shirt.
I love that shirt.
Yeah. So how do you handle convos around ROI and marketing, especially when leadership is hyper-focused on measurable returns. And really, that's anybody in business.
Yeah.
Everybody's
tough.
worried about the bottom line, especially right now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear-mongering. People are afraid of what's happening with the market, what's going to happen, all this stuff going on overseas.
So
people want to
fast.
see results, and it's a smaller scale thing, but I'm sure having been in marketing, you know how to navigate those waters. But what is your approach where those kinds of things are concerned?
Well, I got those questions a lot when I started about how do we make sure we're spending our money in the right way when it comes to marketing? How do we know we're getting ROI whether we do certain types of posts? And I have empathy for that type of thinking because I struggled with that when I first came on board. Used to be, I could send an email campaign, sell a nutritional product. You could see from that email campaign how many people clicked, how many people added to cart. You could A/B test subject lines.
Sure.
All that stuff, and you see this direct result of an email you sent, and that's like satisfying. Okay, great, we made X amount of dollars profit from that campaign. This is harder, and I asked this in the interview. Like I mentioned the interview story a little bit, but when I was in that interview, was one thing I kept getting hung up on is what is a win? How do you know the marketing is working well?
Yeah,
Because okay, companies are going to move to McKinney, but right now there's groundbreakings happening in projects in McKinney that have been in the works for like 6 years. One's this venue amphitheater, 20,000 seat outdoor auditorium amphitheater. That's been in the works for like 2.5 years. And that's fast in economic development.
Yeah.
So did any of that happen because of the result of a digital campaign? Maybe, maybe not. How do you know, right? So I struggled in the interview process. How do we know that what we're doing is working?
Yeah.
And then we had some team members that would get kind of hung up on that too and say certain members of leadership would come into marketing meetings and ask, why are we doing this if we don't know the ROI? Why spend money on this? I got pushback when we built the podcast studio because it's like we're spending a chunk of change to outfit a room with equipment. What's going to be the ROI on that?
Yeah.
Like zero. I don't know. It's costing us more than it's going to produce on some level because to 3 man hours of people filming and then the amount of money it takes to buy the equipment, put it in here, and then put an episode on YouTube that may or may not generate money. So I don't know that I have a good answer for that still but sometimes it's a shift of saying the return is the production of the product. Like you may not see a monetary value return on this particular episode, but it's building the brand of what's the point of the point group, and it's continuing to add layers of your voice into the online conversation.
Yeah.
That's the approach we've had in economic development marketing.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, brand sells more than marketing sells more than sales, I guess, because it's like it's a quick fix. Not talking it down, but branding can just go so much further.
Yeah.
I would even I'd even take it a step further, Raul, and say, it's great to have somebody who understands that marketing a brand is part of marketing, right? And you're gonna have to dump some sweat equity into it. But the reality is that I'll go back to the connection piece. If you're unwilling to establish yourself as a trusted advisor who knows what they're talking about, then why should anybody buy from you if they have multiple infinite options at their disposal?
Right.
And cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Cheaper options because everyone's looking for the cheaper.
People can see polished marketing or sales coming from a mile away in this era that we live in.
Yeah.
They get bombarded with it every day. So now people are getting wiser and they're saying, we got to start building connections with people. That's why you're seeing the shift in social right now. Is it's going away from likes and followers and all the vanity metrics that have kind of driven things before to true blue connections. They're already doing it, like giving us the ability to be able to hide our followers and likes and all that stuff. Because none of that stuff
doesn't
really
matter anymore.
Matters. It may matter to somebody who's looking for an influencer to market their stuff, but I would almost rather have the person, I guess they're still considered micro influencers, who has a smaller following but more engagement with their content than somebody who just has massive numbers that they could have bought at any moment in time, right? So it's really interesting to think about things that way.
Yeah,
that's a hard one, man. That's
I
a
know,
really
and I
hard
still battle that.
I think like it makes sense to us. I think it doesn't make sense
because we've had that challenge too.
Yeah,
we've had that same challenge, and I'm not afraid to say that. That's not saying anything bad about anybody. It's just said it's just saying those are conversations that we had internally to try to justify the reasons why we needed to do this.
Yeah.
And it takes paying attention to the landscape. Right.
I think you got to become good at telling all the stories of success, whether or not it can point back to something that you did. So like for example, we sponsor a lot of golf tournaments. We'll spend anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 to show up at a golf tournament, sponsor a booth, talk about McKinney, engage with real estate brokers, because we're just staying top of mind. And so we'll sometimes have a project come to McKinney, bring hundreds of jobs, bring high paying jobs, and purchase some land and establish a corporate presence because of a connection that was made at a golf tournament, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, sometimes the ROI in that golf tournament is you spend $5,000 and you get nothing. Sometimes it's you spend $5,000 on a golf tournament and it ends up playing a part of a story of a $200 million project.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know which event or which campaign led to this.
Quantify.
But if we can constantly articulate that what we're doing is working, and we can tell the success stories of, hey, we did this and it paid off. We did this and it paid off. We did this and it connected to this person, which got that, or we got this good press in Dallas from this event we did 2 weeks ago. This story we did a podcast episode on a company that moved to McKinney a couple years ago called Maverick Power, and they won an award on DCEO magazine, and they got all this press. We brought in the founder, interviewed him. That conversation got picked up and turned into an article on Dallas Innovates, which those editorial pieces you can't pay for, but if we had paid for like an advertorial or something like that, thousands of dollars, right? So the ROI on that particular episode really paid off, but not every episode does that, right? So it's like, we just continue to tell those stories that are working, and it helps kind of mitigate those questions of going, well, what's the ROI? It's like, you can't look at it as a sprint. We're running a marathon. Yeah. I can't nickel and dime every single dollar it's going to turn into $3 of marketing revenue.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Luke. I think also we have this conversation a lot internally, is even at the end of the day, even with your paid initiatives, you have to have organic content that's going to supplement what your paid initiatives are.
Yes.
Right? You have to have the organic stuff to couple with what you're putting your money towards to try to get those eyeballs. Because again, people that are finding you for the first time who know nothing about you, the likelihood that they're either going to just buy from you outright, sight unseen, or go and look at some more of your content or what else you've done to justify making that decision for themselves. Yeah. That's what this is for.
I think it's, people go to all your platforms, and if it's dead, then they're probably not going to work with you. You know,
those are the means of validation now. That's what somebody once told me. A mentor of mine a few years back told me. He said, if I have $10,000, he said, could I run a paid campaign? Yeah, but wouldn't I rather just fly to the client and take them to dinner and have a really good personal conversation with them? I'd probably do both, right? I'd probably peel off some of the budget to do a paid initiative, but then I'm going to take the time to go shake that person's hand.
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing, right? It's like. And you said it best, man. Storytelling matters. As a creative who transitioned to being a digital creative long ago, I still believe in the integrity of creative and storytelling. Yeah. But I love digital because it can strip out some of the subjectivity, right? But the thing about it is, the caveat is that the storytelling component, that really creative way to connect with people, because you're connecting with someone on an emotional level, it still matters. Man. Yeah. It still is what the game is about.
That's it. Yeah.
It's still what the game is about. It's nice to be able to say, well, we should pivot away from doing this kind of an email because this last one didn't work. Right? And the numbers are showing us right here in Campaign Monitor, Constant Contact, or Active Campaign, whatever you're using, or MailChimp. Or through your Meta Dash or whatever, it's showing you exactly what you should be doing. But how you're connecting with people still really matters. Yeah. And that boils down to story. Yeah. How are you connecting with them on an emotional level?
Yeah.
Because we talked about that even before we started recording, right? When you came in, it's like, how do you make that human connection with people?
And I think that's why I like podcasting a lot. You know, when I first started doing it, I was at a mortgage company, and it's like, you would think, who would ever want a podcast or listen to a podcast at a mortgage company? And, you know, we went in it with just like the idea of just, look, if we put it up and people don't watch it, it doesn't matter. We invited somebody within the industry to come out. We made that connection. And they were impressed. You know, like, you bring them to a studio, people get impressed, and you leave a really big impression on people. And I think like even that accounts for so much that people don't realize.
It does.
We say a lot in McKinney, we say people won't invest in a community that doesn't invest in itself.
Yeah.
So like at McKinney for a long time, we had a really rundown old city hall that was a bank building that they made work, and for years, we got to get a new city hall. We got a new city hall. Well, just now in January of this year, 25, we moved into a brand new facility downtown McKinney on the other side of Highway 5. Amazing City Hall, 5-story, just incredibly beautiful building.
Nice.
But for a long time, it was kind of a pain point because you'd bring in these visitors or these site consultants or people, and the front gate of the City Hall, you bring them in, and it's very underwhelming.
Yeah.
It's a rundown bank building that's been kind of converted and band-aided into a City Hall. Not a great look, right?
Yeah,
but people want to know, are they, in our context, are they paving their roads? Are they keeping up with their parks? Are they, so now you bring people in, you see this beautiful City Hall, and they go, wow, this place invests in itself. This, this agency produces its own stellar content as well as content for its clients, right? So people want to work with a community or a company that is investing in itself as well as investing in their core product.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. So let's take a step back. Not really a step back and a step forward, I guess. If you can do that, it's kind of
do a split.
But yeah, do the splits. So when you're running into those situations, Luke, like when you're talking with your leadership about wanting to say have an idea for something, what's your process for convincing them to maybe take some more risks? And kind of move in that direction. Obviously, you've been in the role a while, so there's a level of trust there that comes with. But if you need to sell it in a little bit, what does that generally look like for you? How do you bring that to them and say, look, this is going to pay off? Going back to like the thing we were just talking about, this is going to pay off. It just may be over the long term. It's not going to be. You're not going to see like an immediate impact, but it will happen over time.
Yeah, it's a lot can happen over a lunch. So we do a lot of lunches where we kind of talk about ideas and things like that. And we have leadership where, like you nailed it, the trust factor. Like they know that what we're going to do is what we do is going to pay off, and if it doesn't work, we're going to pivot. Yeah. And so there's like we've bought an amazing amount of collateral in our community of just this emotional equity. People are invested. People love what we do, both our city side and our EDC side, and so. When you have that level of trust, sometimes it can become a little risk averse and go like, well, we're already there. Like, let's just coast. But in having these conversations where, again, I'll point back to our leadership, both city council, our board, and our CEO to say they love what we're doing and they give us the opportunity to kind of take those chances and take risks. So it's just a matter of, and I recognize I'm blessed. Not every employer, not every workplace has leadership that sees marketing or creative work through that lens. So I got incredibly lucky with the team that I work with.
That's amazing, man. It's nice to have. It's just nice to have that trust too, when people know that you're good at what you do and that you're well-meaning and that you want to do the best that you possibly can. It's easy to give somebody. Yeah. I think one of the great things about being in leadership, and you know this as well, Luke, even like people that you bring in under your wing, is that sometimes being a good leader is knowing when to take a step back. It's to say, hey, I'm going to give you all the tools you need to be able to do the best you possibly can. And then if you have an idea that you have a clear-cut vision and you know what you need to do, man, run with it. Why not? If you feel like it's going to help and you believe in it, that's when you're going to get the greatest stuff.
Yeah.
And it makes people feel good and know that they're valued, right? So when we're talking about internal culture of MEDC, right? And like the way that you guys approach it. But having people from the top down, like also, can I just say that I've never met Michael, but when I meet him, I want to go, hey, Mikowski, how you doing? This is an awesome name. He probably hates that. Yeah. He's like, don't ever call me Mikowski, please. That's going to be terrible. So, so knowing that, so how does a couple little quick hitter questions here.
Yeah.
How does MEDC go about attracting companies to come to McKinney? Like, I know that's kind of a broad question.
Yeah.
But just if you kind of hone in on a couple of ways that you guys think about, okay, we know who we want to get. Now how are we going to go get them?
Yeah. So I'll use this opportunity to shameless plug our podcast.
Do it.
And we have a spin-off series we did called EDC 101, where we talk about what a project means in economic development. And one of the things we talk about in one of those episodes is site selectors. So there's people that have been brought on as consultants for companies when they're looking at relocations or expansions. Yeah. So we do a tremendous amount of work with site consultants to say, hey, let's stay top of mind. They're looking at, Nashville, we're competitors to Nashville in a lot of ways. McKinney is. And then, of course, our neighbors, Plano, Frisco. So when a site selector is working with a company and they're tasked with finding the best place based on these metrics, maybe they need a port city, so they're going to look in Corpus or whatever. But if it's an area where everything lines up, where McKinney needs to be brought to the table in this proposal that this consultant's going to provide this company, we want our consultants to like us a lot. So we bring them in for tours. We host them at events like the Byron Nelson in McKinney, where we rent a hospitality suite and kind of wine and dine them all week. And then on top of that, we run email newsletters to site consultants, and then we run email newsletters to our residents. And we do a lot of layers of this kind of in-person touch of events, presentations. We go to a lot of conferences. Trade shows. We represent McKinney at different like retail or other conferences. And then we do, my focus, of course, is the digital advertising with what we do on Google Ads and LinkedIn and paid advertising and organic media. So, but one of the kind of untapped resources that people this is one of the more traditional pieces of economic development marketing that will never go away, is those site consultants and site selectors and staying top of mind with them. Yeah. Whether that's personal touch or email newsletters.
Sure. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, listen, man, traditional is not, it's taking its time, getting to that point where it's a complete switch over, but I don't think we're going to see it go away completely anytime soon. You got to have a good blend of things.
There's certain components, man, as maybe as on fire and innovative as you are, there are some still tried and true strategies in your industry that are going to work.
100%.
And you're just going to look like an idiot if you come in and think everything's got to be erased and we just got to start over.
There's a reason people still do direct mail, man.
It
works.
Yeah.
It's proven.
Yeah.
Tried and true.
Yeah.
So, so a little bit of a shameless plug on this one. So how is working with, our team, man, everybody's constantly singing your praises here. I just want you to know that. That's the truth, man. And just McKinney EDC on the whole. How is working with Point and the team here helped elevate your social and content presence, man? How has that been working out for you?
I actually threw this question in so that way we can just talk about me the rest of the
That's good. Yeah, it's all roll. No, it's what I talked about at the beginning. Like even being a one-man show, or now we myself, and we have Shannon Roberts who works on our team over events, and she does some print marketing and some email campaigns. You've got to have those outside partners that can help you kind of carry the load.
Yeah.
And we've got enough stuff to do internally, whether that's running events or doing some email newsletters, and to know that for us, there's a few elements that I don't have to worry about, that we get on a call once a month or twice a month, and we'll talk through some things, and your team is going to take that and execute it, and even bring some different stuff that I wouldn't have thought of. Because even now I'm 3 years in, I now am entrenched in the economic development world, and to bring in an outsider to go like, hey, have you thought about this? One of your interns came up with some ideas that said, hey, we were thinking about this. And I'm like, how could I not have seen that? Yeah. Like, right? So having the outside perspective, and then just having creative workhorses who can dig in and just do the work.
Yeah. Sometimes
in an internal team, you get so caught up in the weekly stuff you got to do, or the strategy of the organization, or hitting those KPIs. Like to have like a true creative partner that the number one job is to create good content. It's like, that's killer. That's great. And you get, for us, with our agreement with Point, I get a lot more creative minds working on stuff than just one person. I could hire another person and bring on a new staff member, but that would almost be a disservice, because now I get access to 5 different creative minds instead of one.
Yeah. And we really, when we try, outside of just being, just handling the creative part of it, man, we really want to be good stewards of the MEDC brand.
Right.
And good creative partners, man, and bring ideas to the table, bring a strategic bend to it. Say, we really try to entrench ourselves in, hey, tell us a little bit, give us a little bit more insight about what's going on internally and what you really want to achieve, and let us brainstorm and come up with some ideas, man. We love getting in the room. I mean, one of our favorite things to do is to get in a room together and throw stuff up on the whiteboard.
Oh, whiteboard.
Bounce ideas, man.
I live in front of a whiteboard. It's the best.
That's always been my favorite part of the creative process. And we have a lot of fun, really creative people here that aren't even, some of them aren't even, don't have creative titles. They're really smart account people that really take the time to understand the business, what you guys do, and not just for you guys, but for anybody that we work with. We try to take that kind of an approach to say, hey, the strategy And having those rails to ride on is just as important, maybe even more important, because you can do a bunch of tactical stuff that you can just toss out thinking, well, we hope this works.
Right.
You know, you get a handful of spaghetti, right?
Right.
But having those rails to ride on can really give you the guidance to kind of help, okay, well, here's what we need to do, and this is why.
Yeah. And the cool thing, too, is just the blend also. It kind of goes the reverse of what you were saying. It's like, we'll try to come up with some ideas, and we'll do it, and, you know, go through the whole process, and things are looking good. And then Luke will just go in and post some other stuff on his own. And it's just like a nice blend of like I didn't even think about like this thing coming up that we, you know, whatever. So it's just like a nice blend of like what we come up with and what you guys are doing. And it's just all kind of sprinkled together, and the account's just moving.
Well,
it's like
cool. It's like a crock pot and a pan fry, right? You have both cooking methods. With you guys, we give you stuff that simmers in the crock pot for a long time, and you develop these long-term assets that are developed over time. But then we have events, like we did an innovation event at City Hall a couple of days ago that I wanted to take a drone photo and post it like same day. Yeah. So we got this crock pot going with amazing content with the point group, but then we also have, I'm just going to pan fry a steak real quick and throw that up online. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a cool blend.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. It's lunchtime, man. 100%.
Like, dude, also, I give you props, Luke. Like, you got some banger analogies, man. I love a good analogy.
I love a good analogy, man.
Banger analogies, man. You're on point today. You're bringing some good stuff to the table. No pun intended. Yeah. So with that said, for marketers in smaller cities, I'm kind of bouncing around here, so bear with me. EDCs or nonprofits, either one. What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone to understand what makes content that works?
That's a good question.
How do you make content that works? Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to people. Like, find your audience and talk to them, and find out what's going to connect with them. Yeah. And then again, like you touched on earlier, the days of overproduced, really, really good looking, like $1 million content is over. Just create something with your iPhone, use your voice, make sure the audio is decent, be yourself, and create a lot of video content. But we did this when I started, was just talk to the stakeholders, talk to the people that matter most to you, or a representation of that audience. And get a feel for what their expectation is, get a feel for what they like, and kind of follow the breadcrumbs. When you post stuff, realize, hey, this may not work. Let me do some different stuff. Or, hey, this is working. Let me do more of this. Like, I noticed people love, when we post on our podcast, people love the innovation fund companies. So we kind of lean a little bit heavier on our podcast for a while. We were doing a lot of tech companies because people were really connecting with that. And then we still try to bring in like education partners, nonprofits in McKinney, because you still want to tell those stories as well. But we kind of let the response drive where we went next. Yeah. So don't be afraid to just start somewhere, and then kind of let the data, let the response drive where you go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what do you think more cities or organizations get wrong about digital marketing, especially as it pertains to EDCs or EDOs?
This is a tough one because you can't ever get away from it. But sometimes we're too focused on playing the political game. And we're like, and you have to on some level, like you have to work well with your city council. You have to work well
almost anything
with like the stakeholders with anything, right? You have your CEO of a company. You have to get along with your board of directors, right? Like some of that you have to do, but sometimes that gets in the way of posting authentic stuff or communicating authentic vision. So I don't have a good answer for that, but I see that as being a hurdle, myself included, that we get like there's projects we worked on that I wanted to publish that I felt like we couldn't release because of the political climate that was happening in the moment. So that has been a hurdle. Again, I don't have a good answer for it. How do you get past that? Because in our context, in local government, municipalities, and like you said, even any industry, you have to do that dance. You have to play the game well on some level.
That's really hard as a creative or as a marketer too, I think, because especially because I always tell people, like, with creatives, and I would put you down as a creative, Luke. I mean, that's what you're a digital you're a marketer, but you're creative, right? You have vision. You can see it through to the end. Like, I always feel like creative people, like, part of our job is educational because not everybody thinks the way we do. Like, sometimes you're asking people to make a really imaginative leap, and they don't really know how to make it because either they've never seen what the end result is or what it can be, or they've never really taken the time to think about what it can be. So you're asking people to kind of make the jump, and sometimes you have to educate them on what that looks like. Right? But I think that when you run into situations like that, I think intrinsically or not intrinsically, but inherently creatives, it's so much a part of who we are, that authentic sort of the need to connect with things and people, that when you have to play that game, and I'm not trying to get you don't have to say anything you don't want. I'm not trying to put you in the hot seat, but it is very challenging.
Yeah.
It's very challenging to tap dance and play that game. But politics is part of our everyday. Jay-Z said politics is usual, right? Like it's a part of our everyday lives.
Yeah.
I had to make the old school reference of aging myself horribly, but the album was 1996. But yeah, that's a challenging thing, man, to have to get through, especially at the city and state level, man. That level of politics, because the other thing is that I think we'd always like to think that we are looking at somebody through our lens, hoping that their nature is the same as ours, but that is not always the case, and their end game is not always the same as ours. So we have to bear that in mind too, to say, okay, what is the angle that this person has, and what are they trying to achieve? Ultimately, you know what I think it boils down to? Heart of service. It's like, how can I help this person get what they need while also doing okay for myself and what we need over here? That's kind of the give and take, right? It's the push and pull part of it. What's your approach with that, man? Like, what's your mindset going into those things? Is this very much like, I know what we need to do, so I kind of already know how I need to approach this, especially if you're dealing with somebody that you know? What if you're dealing with somebody you don't know that well?
Yeah.
How do you walk into something like that, man?
Yeah,
I'm always curious to know what people's
I've been accused in past jobs of being somewhat of a bulldozer. Like I know what to do, and now we just need to go execute. And I've like pushed people, hurt feelings, like, you know, in the name of getting good work done, right?
Yeah.
And I was told by a mentor years ago, you're gonna have to go slower than you think in order to do things well and keep people happy. Was kind of the core of that idea. And I'm like, I like going fast. I like Facebook's mantra in the early days was move fast and break stuff. Like that was their whole thing, was we're just gonna ship it and fix it later. Like it was like do it, fix it. And now in this, it's like, let's be a little more thoughtful. And for us, you talked about different perspectives, different lenses we view the world. The best communities are the most diverse communities.
Oh, yeah.
So that brings with it by nature a whole different set of viewpoints, a whole different set of opinions. And you have to, not that you'll ever make everybody happy, but you have to think about every side. You have to be, we have to be politically agnostic, but also empathize with what people are going through. And are the stories we're telling resonating with the people in this community in a positive way? And so that's been a tough, that's always something we have to do just as humans, is to not railroad people online or do things that are obnoxious, but especially in our local government context of, I don't know, like there's people that have been serving in this community for 30 years, right? And I've been here for 3. So of course I have to think about how their opinion matters, about how they feel about their backyard, right? Or like we worked on the airport project, and that brought on a lot of negative emotions from people that live near the airport, right? They moved to a small, quiet farm community, and now there's commercial service coming. Yeah. That was a challenge for a lot of people. So we had to communicate what was happening, but also be sensitive to the fact that, and this is kind of causing a stir in our community right now. It's a sensitive subject.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you a lot of, I don't have a lot of good answers, but this is just something we've had to learn how to tiptoe around.
That's fantastic. That's insight that somebody watching this podcast and listening to you talk who didn't know you previously context they now have, which is awesome, man. So I thought that was a great answer.
Yeah.
Dude, Luke, this has been amazing, man. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us today.
It flew by, man. This is awesome.
Appreciate you coming by. Where can people find you, man? Where can they find MEDC?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably our most active. We're Unique McKinney on Instagram, McKinney Economic Development Corporation. I'm on Instagram, Luke Gajary. And then, come check out McKinney. Come have lunch in McKinney and check out our website and our Instagram and LinkedIn and just follow what we're doing. And thank you guys again for just being such great creative partners. Of
course, man. Yeah, it's our pleasure. It's all an honor working with you guys, man.
Yeah.
We're really, really excited to continue the partnership and continue to do some amazing things,
100%.
Man. Guys, for myself and Raul, you know where to find us. So What's the Point Podcast. We'll see you on the flip side.